I shamelessly chased after Lu Ziyi for 3 years like a lovesick puppy. He never liked using protection. He'd always smoke with his back to me afterward, his bare torso covered in scratches, and say in that condescending tone, "Don't worry, if you get pregnant, we'll just get married." A month later, staring at the 2 lines on the pregnancy test, I chose not to tell him. Instead, I ended things abruptly. Later, he spotted me at the abortion clinic. I was there, holding my baby bump and chatting with another pregnant woman. Don't get me wrong, I was a wreck when we broke up, but actually having his child, no way was I going through with that. I know the difference between crying over a duvet and crying over a baby. Let's just date for now. I have someone else in mind for marriage. 1. The day I found out I was pregnant, I went to the private club Lu Ziyi frequented. I was just about to push the door open. I overheard them discussing which brand of condoms felt more comfortable. Someone joked, "Ask Brother Lu, he's got a girlfriend, so he must be the expert." After a moment, I heard Lu Ziyi say casually, "Condoms, never used them." The person beside him was stunned. "Not even once? Aren't you worried about Shia Mo getting pregnant?" Lu's lit a cigarette, his voice muffled by the smoke. "Don't worry, she always remembers to take the pill afterward." The room erupted in commotion. "Damn. You've really tamed the wild one," Luz chuckled lazily. "Tamed? I've had my way with both her mouths, and I know every mole on her body." Someone couldn't resist asking, "Lu, what would you do if you actually got Shia Mo pregnant?" Lu Ziyi paused briefly before speaking slowly. "If she's really pregnant, then we'll get married. Momo is very sensible and we get along well. Marrying her wouldn't be hard to accept." Someone teased him, "If I remember correctly, you used to change girlfriends every week. How can a player like you settle down with just one person?" Luz curled his lips indifferently. "It's not like she's pregnant yet, is it? I don't want to think that far ahead. If I really get tired of this, worst case scenario, I'll come up with a decent excuse to break up. She'll go along with it. Besides, she's such a people pleaser. Every time we break up, she never blames me. Instead, she immediately starts questioning if it's her fault. Then hugs me and apologizes. Last time I got this sudden urge to try it in the car, she wasn't into it. I just gave her a little scare, said I'd break up with her if she didn't agree, and she caved." The people around clicked their tongues and said, "Damn, she's so gullible." Lu Ziyi lowered his gaze, his voice softening a bit. "Exactly because she's so gullible, I don't want her to be taken advantage of by someone else. Lucky for her she ran into me. If she'd met some scumbag, that crybaby would have screamed herself hoarse. That way she can stay by my side, where I can keep a closer eye on her and feel more at ease." Someone chuckled. "So after all this time, Brother Lu is just doing charity work, but you really need to keep a tight leash on her. With a face like Shia Mo's, who wouldn't want a piece of that? Not only does she have that innocent face, but her body is curvy in all the right places. Her ass is like a ripe peach, practically bursting. If she were my girlfriend, I'd be over the moon." Lu Ziyi shot him a cold glance. "Don't even think about it." After a moment, his gaze softened as if recalling something. "But she really is innocent. She cries like it's her first time every single time. Honestly, if I really had to part ways with her, I'd actually feel quite reluctant." People in the private room teased him, the former playboy, about turning into such a romantic. Just then, someone threw out a question. "Seriously, Lu, if Shia Mo really is pregnant, would you actually settle down for her? Come to think of it, didn't you originally get together with her just to piss off your white moonlight, Jiang Shuaman? Looks like Jiang Shuaman just went through a breakup, and she works at your company now. Isn't this your chance? This time?" Lu stared blankly at the ground. The crimson glow at his fingertips flickered. He remained silent for a long time. 2. I stared at the 2 lines on the pregnancy test. Truth be told, I didn't come here to tell him about my pregnancy. I only came because his friend called saying he was drunk and asked me to pick him up. Honestly, seeing Lu Ziyi so distracted over Jiang Shuaman actually gave me a sense of relief. To be honest, I've been thinking about breaking up with him ever since I found out I was pregnant with this child. Lu's only got together with me in the first place because of Jiang Shuaman. There's a certain type of person in this world. They've never known hardship or setbacks, and their words carry that oblivious privilege of let them eat cake. Jiang Shuaman is exactly that kind of person. She's my roommate. Every morning, she'd look in the mirror, clench her fist, and cheer herself on in the sweetest voice. "Good morning, Jiang Shuaman. You're the warmest little sunbeam, give it your all today. When Lu Ziyi was pursuing Jiang Shuaman, the whole campus knew about his grand gestures. He showered her with roses and luxury goods as if they were free. If she casually mentioned liking a certain designer bag, it would appear at her dorm door the next day, costing more than I'd earn from 3 years of part-time work. Lu Ziyi naturally stood out in any crowd, becoming the center of attention the moment he stepped on campus. Every time he showed up at the foot of the academic building, people would secretly snap pictures of him with their phones. He didn't seem to mind. Just leaned against the doorframe scrolling through his phone while waiting for Jiang Shuaman. Even in a windbreaker, his 188 centimeters frame carried the poised elegance of a runway model. Even the wind seemed to treat him with special favor. It's no exaggeration to say that even a single strand of his hair is absolutely perfect. The first time I saw him, he had his hands in his pockets, confessing his feelings to Jiang Shuaman. He had strikingly Eurasian features, a sharp nose, a chiseled jawline, and a roguish, carefree charm when he smiled. Most importantly, he was wealthy. At the welcome ceremony, the principal personally accompanied his father in the VIP section. His innate elegance was never something that could be manufactured by luxury goods. Sometimes I can't help but feel Lu Ziyi and Jiang Shuaman seem like the protagonists of this world. They all carry an innate sense of superiority. All the good things in life just fall into their laps. As for me, I'm just a shattered campus belle, with a mother who died young, a gambling-addicted father, an ailing grandmother, forced to work 3 jobs a day just to survive, a mere footnote in the story of their lives. Jiang Shuaman asked me why I work 3 different part-time jobs every day. I patiently explained, because I'm broke. She rolled her eyes so hard they nearly disappeared into her skull. If you're broke, just ask your dad for money. Stop pretending, acting all stressed out every day. Is it really that serious? I didn't know how to make her understand my situation, so I just said quietly, my dad is the main source of my stress. Perhaps because she'd never known real hardship, she inexplicably looked down on Lu Ziyi. Instead, she fell for a penniless, chauvinistic jock who only knew how to sweet-talk, constantly swearing he'd give you the moon. All he ever gave were empty gestures. Every year as Valentine's Day approached, that jock would pick a fight and threaten to break up with her. But after Valentine's Day, he'd come crawling back to Jiang Shuaman to patch things up. Jiang Shuaman didn't notice anything amiss. But I'm particularly attuned to matters involving money. I knew that guy just didn't want to waste money on a Valentine's gift for her. Sometimes, I'd remind her to keep her distance from that athlete. But she'd look at me with hurt eyes and ask, Shamor, what's wrong with you? Why do you always assume the worst in people? Is it because you've never been cherished by someone, and you're jealous of me? So I stopped bringing it up. One day on my way to the library, I saw Lu Ziyi arguing with Jiang Shuaman while sitting in his luxury car. Lu threw the bouquet meant for Jiang Shuaman to the ground, raising an eyebrow as he demanded, You're seeing someone, why didn't you tell me? Did you get some kind of thrill out of toying with me like this? What exactly does he have that I don't? Jiang Shuaman lifted her chin defiantly. Lu Ziyi, men like you only know how to throw money at me. You have no idea what love really means. I expected Lu Ziyi to look hurt or something, but I was wrong. Lu Ziyi let out a low chuckle. The laughter carried a hint of self-mockery, tinged with nonchalance. I don't need to understand. With money, I'll have people lining up to love me. He crooked a finger at me from across the room. Hey, I'll pay you to love me. I froze. Much later, I finally heard my own voice. Alright, I thought I had helped Jiang Shuaman resolve a problem. But Jiang Shuaman's face instantly darkened. Xiamo, are you really this cheap? You're picking up what I threw away. I didn't argue. All I knew was grandma's hospital bills needed paying, and my father was hounding me for his gambling debts. I needed the money, a whole lot of money. Enough to pull me out of the gutter. 3. After we got together, Luz was genuinely good to me. Whenever my father lost money gambling, he'd come to my school and pressure me for cash, but Luz somehow made sure he never showed up again. My grandmother's medical bills were paid off in one go, and she was moved to a VIP suite at the downtown hospital. The caregiver sends me daily photos of her smiling as she soaks up the sun. He effortlessly handles everything for me. He had me quit all my part-time jobs. Every day brings a new gift or creative surprise from him. From designer handbags to custom jewelry, Even the financial management course I casually mentioned wanting to take, he hired a private tutor to come to my school the very next day. With his guidance, I learned how to analyze financial statements, make investments, and gradually mastered numerous money-making skills. Beyond that, we acted like any ordinary couple, hugging, kissing, even getting hotel rooms together. The first time I gave myself to him, his torso was bare, the pale curve of his shoulders taut with tension. As he leaned in to kiss me, the silver chain around his neck brushed against his elegant collarbone, swaying gently with his movement. My heart raced so fast I nearly grew lightheaded. He chuckled softly. "Silly, next time we kiss, remember to breathe." Lucy had insatiable desires, and I had to learn to indulge his every whim. He disliked using condoms, so I went on birth control. He craved excitement, so I joined him in exploring new locations to keep things thrilling. But he's genuinely a scumbag. Even after we got together, he never stopped surrounding himself with women. He never turns anyone down. His social media is filled with cozy photos with all sorts of influencers. At parties, he'd never shake off those ambiguously intertwined arms. Some girls even called me directly, their tone dripping with provocation. There were nights I cried myself to sleep over this. He remained utterly unfazed. "I'm in a relationship with you, not joining a monastery. If you can't handle this, fine, I won't force you. Then let's break up. I'll find someone who can keep up." After that, I learned to keep quiet and stopped saying anything. To be honest, I'm not nearly as well behaved as he makes me out to be. I'm a woman too, and I need to let off steam sometimes. Lucy is handsome, wealthy, and simply the perfect candidate. He's genuinely captivating. I have to admit, he did give me a helping hand when I was at my lowest point, and I genuinely had feelings for him back then. I'll always be grateful to him. But that's just the kind of person he is. He was born at the top of the pyramid. He doesn't understand love, and he'll never learn how to love you properly. But occasionally he'll try to comfort you with lover-like gestures. When he's inside you and you cry out in pain, he'll cradle your face, kissing you repeatedly while whispering "I love you." He's a spoiled mad dog, but if you keep stroking his fur the right way, he might actually care about you a little. Someone like him is fine for casual dating, but I never once considered spending the rest of my life with him. I'm 27 now, I can't afford to play games anymore. I'm also looking for the right opportunity. I broke up with him after returning from the club. 4. Lucy went out drinking with friends and didn't come home until very late. The next day, Lucy called me, his voice still groggy with sleep. "Momo, bring some documents to the office for me. I need them for a meeting." When I got to the office, I unexpectedly spotted Jiang Shuaman, dressed in a faded professional suit. She was holding a stack of documents. Her hair was neatly combed, but it couldn't conceal the unease in her eyes. Just a few days ago, my college friend mentioned to me, Jiang Shuaman's father's factory had gone bankrupt. Her fiancé ran off with what little money she had left. Now she's working as a junior clerk at Lu's company, not even qualified to get an audience with him. Jiang Shuaman froze when she saw me. She covered her mouth in astonishment. "You're Xia Mo. You've changed so much. You used to be." She left her sentence unfinished. Lu Zeddy's lazy voice came from behind. "Momo, where are my documents?" He walked over and naturally wrapped his arms around me from behind, resting his chin on the back of my head. The gesture felt so intimate, as if we'd done it 1,000 times before. Jiang Shuaman watched the accomplished Lu Zi with a tinge of melancholy, her lips pressed into a thin line, her fingertips digging into the edges of the documents until her knuckles turned white. But Lu Zi never showed me any affection at the office. I knew he was putting on a show for Jiang Shuaman. The second time I saw Jiang Shuaman was on our 5th anniversary with Lu Zi. Lu Zi reserved a table at the most upscale 5-star restaurant. At the dinner table, he suddenly told me, "I invited Jiang Shuaman, hope you don't mind." Seeing me frozen in surprise, he chuckled. "No need to be nervous, I just thought she could take some couple photos for us." When Jiang Shuaman arrived, Lu Zi moved closer with practiced ease, retrieving my phone from my embrace and handing it to her. "Make sure you get my good side." A smile played on his lips as he spoke, his gaze lingering on me while he gently tucked a stray strand of hair behind my ear. Jiang Shuaman's hands trembled as she held up the camera. My reaction seemed to please Lu Zi. He wrapped his arm around my waist, deliberately pulling me closer into his embrace, then leaned down and whispered in my ear, "Baby, Smile, it's our 5-year anniversary. His breath brushed against my ear, as if he were about to kiss me any second, but I could tell Lu Ziyi was distracted while talking to me. His gaze kept drifting toward Jiang Shuaman. Enough. Jiang Shuaman suddenly put down her phone, her voice choked with tears as they streamed down her face like broken strings of pearls. Lu Ziyi, I know I was immature back then, and I was the one who rejected you, but why do you have to humiliate me like this, flattering her right in front of me? Making me take photos of you two together. Do you get some kind of thrill out of watching me suffer and regret my choices? After all we've been through, I've never done you wrong. Why must you keep picking on me? She trembled with sobs, her eyes brimming with hurt as she looked at Lu Ziyi. Lu Ziyi's body went rigid. I felt his grip on my shoulder tighten to the point of pain. Jiang Shuaman threw my phone on the ground, wiped her tears, and ran off. Lu Ziyi cursed under his breath. Shit. He pushed me aside, grabbed his coat, and rushed after her. I crouched down and picked up my phone. The screen is already shattered. On our 5th anniversary, Lu Ziyi left me waiting there all alone. That night, 5, Lu Ziyi offered no explanation, just sent a message saying, not coming home tonight. I didn't say a word. I waited until he was gone and took another pregnancy test to confirm it was real. Then I secretly scheduled an abortion appointment by myself. I knew things with Lu Ziyi wouldn't last. So I never relied on his money to get by. I earn most of my own living expenses. I can manage perfectly fine without him. I thought nothing else would happen that night. But then around midnight, the doorknob suddenly turned with a faint click. A man stepped inside, half his face veiled in moonlight. Luz had actually returned. I lay curled up on the bed, pretending to be asleep. Luz entered, took off his clothes, and slipped a new phone under my pillow. The mattress dipped as he pressed against me from behind, his breath grazing the nape of my neck. Still mad at me, he nibbled my earlobe while slipping a hand beneath my pajamas, fingers tracing the clasp of my bra. Sweetheart, I know you're awake. I stayed silent, yet no matter how he teased, I kept my back turned to him. He rolled over, planting his hands on either side of me and forcing me to look at him. Guess what I found when I got home today? I saw the opened pregnancy test wrapper in the trash. He leaned in closer, his straight nose brushing against mine as our breaths intertwined. A smirk played on the man's lips. Baby, tell me the truth, are you pregnant? In that moment, my heart skipped a beat, my breath caught in my throat, but I quickly regained my composure. The trash only had empty packaging. I'd already flushed the pregnancy test down the toilet. Rubbing my tired eyes, I said, "Oh, I forgot to take the pill last time. So I wanted to check, but unfortunately, I'm not pregnant." He looked down at me, his expression unreadable. Not pregnant. I wrapped my arms around him. Why would I lie? If I were really pregnant, I'd tell you right away to have you wrapped around my finger. He chuckled. Baby, are you that eager to marry me? Before I could speak, he gently kissed my forehead. Don't worry, if you really are pregnant, we'll get married, okay? But I had no intention of having his child. Nor did I plan to marry him. I remained silent. Strangely enough, I liked him so very much. But I don't want to marry him. Perhaps I love myself more than I love him. In the future I've so carefully planned. Lu Ziyi has no place in it. The next day, a mutual friend of Lu Ziyi and mine told me in private. 6. Jiang Shuaman got promoted. She jumped straight from the lowest level employee to become Lu Ziyi's personal secretary. Honestly, I wasn't all that surprised by this outcome. That's just the kind of person Lu Ziyi is, selfish and self-indulgent. He never cared what anyone thought. He knows I love him, so he took it for granted that I would pretend not to notice anything, just like countless times before, and stay quietly by his side, until the day he finally kept his promise to marry me. But he was mistaken. I wasn't that obedient. The third time I saw Jiang Shuaman was when I went to Lu Ziyi's office looking for him. Lu Ziyi wasn't there. It was Jiang Shuaman who received me. She was completely different from the last time we'd met. At this moment, with her flawless makeup and bespoke cream-colored silk blouse, she exuded an air of effortless elegance. She had also styled her hair into a soft, graceful updo, not to exaggerate, but every single strand of hair was perfectly in place. It has to be said, wealth truly does wonders for one's appearance. I sat down in the tea house to wait for Lu Ziyi. Jiang Shuaman walked up to me, opened WeChat, and said, "Xia Mo. I'm Lu Ziyi's personal secretary. Let me give you my contact info. If you ever need to reach Lu Ziyi, Just get in touch with me and I'll pass the message along. She carried herself with such familiarity, as if she were the lady of the house. I picked up my tea, looked at her calmly, and spoke in an even tone. Do I need to report to an outsider when I contact my own partner? Jiang Shuaman was taken aback, but I still scanned her WeChat code and added her contact. I didn't want to wait for Lu Ziyi any longer, so I got up and left. When I reached the door, I turned back and gave her a smile. By the way, if you have any urgent matters when he's not in the office, you can contact me first and I'll pass the message along for you. After all, we do it every night. His phone is either on silent or he doesn't even bother turning it on. You won't be able to reach him. Jiang Shuaman's face instantly turned ashen. Even the forced smile at the corners of her lips shattered in an instant. She stared daggers at me. I turned away without looking at her, but I never expected that later that night, Jiang Shuaman would stumble out of Lu Ziyi's passenger seat, completely drunk. As Jiang Shuaman got out of the car, she staggered and nearly lost her balance. 7. Without a word, Lu Ziyi scooped her up into his arms. Jiang Shuaman threw her arms around his neck, beaming at him with a dazed smile. As Lu Ziyi passed by me, he said, "She'll be staying in our guest room tonight." That was all he said. No further explanation was offered. That's just how he's always been. He never shies away from discussing relationships with other women, nor does he offer explanations, as if my feelings don't matter at all. It was the driver who came over and told me. Secretary Jiang got drunk while covering for Mr. Lu during the drinking session, and he didn't feel comfortable letting her go home alone, with no one at her place and her in that state. Mr. Lu had no choice but to bring her back with him. Lu Ziyi carried Jiang Shuaman to the guest room and laid her on the bed. When I walked in, a few minutes later, Lu Ziyi knelt on one knee, holding Jiang Shuaman's pale ankle as he helped her remove her high heels. Jiang Shuaman cupped her face in her hands, gazing at Lu Ziyi. "Am I intruding on your romantic time together by being here?" Lu Ziyi replied flatly. "No." Jiang Shuaman pouted. "Then why haven't you two gotten married after all this time?" Lu Ziyi's tone was unreadable. "Not yet. I'm not done having fun. I don't want to settle down so soon, but if she got pregnant, I'd marry her." Jiang Shuaman leaned closer and whispered, "What if I were pregnant with your child? Would you marry me then?" Lu Ziyi stared at her for a few seconds before curling his lips into a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "No." The smile on Jiang Shuaman's face froze for an instant. Her eyes immediately welled up with tears as she grabbed a nearby pillow and hurled it at him. "I hate you. I don't want to see you." Luz grabbed her wrist. "Be good and stop making a scene." Jiang Shuaman sobbed, pounding his chest with her fists. "Why are you so mean? Why do you always have to pick on me? I've heard people say that the more a man teases a woman, the more it shows he likes her and cares about her. Luz, is that how you feel too?" Luz dodged her question. "You're drunk." Jiang Shuaman held on to him. "I'm not drunk, I'm completely sober. I regret turning you down back then. Can we start over? You only got together with her to make me jealous, didn't you? I'm back. This time, let me love you." "Alright." Lu Ziyi let her hold him, neither pushing her away nor responding to her embrace. This scene should have been as beautiful as a romantic drama, but I shattered the moment with my voice. Leaning against the doorframe, I watched them calmly. "Need me to buy condoms for you? What's your preferred brand?" After a pause, I suddenly laughed. "Oh, I forgot. Never mind, you never like using protection." I turned to leave. Luz broke free from Jiang Shuaman's grip, strode over to me, and tightly grabbed my wrist. "Shamour. What are you implying?" He furrowed his brow. "Don't be petulant with me. There's nothing between her and me." My wrist ached from his grip. I looked at him and said, enunciating every word, "If it's really nothing, then just have the driver take her home. Is that so difficult? If you're uncomfortable with a male driver, don't we have female drivers at the company?" Lu Ziyi furrowed his brow, having been spoiled and indulged since childhood. He was accustomed to doing as he pleased. He detested restrictions and resented anyone telling him what to do. The corners of his lips lifted into a faint smile, but his eyes held no warmth. "Shia Mo, are you starting to think you can control me now?" His expression gradually turned cold. "Have I spoiled you too much over the years, giving you the illusion that you can manage me, myself included? Just as I thought. If you can't handle this, then just break up." I remained silent. He stared into my eyes and chuckled softly. "But do you even dare? It's always like this." He can't even be bothered to pretend. Here we go again. He's so sure I can't live without him. He always acts with such impunity around me. He thought he had me wrapped around his finger. Convinced I couldn't live without him. Certain I'd end up begging him through tears not to leave or break up with me. But little did he know, I'd been wanting to escape all along. You're right, I'm not cut out for these games. In that case, let's just break up. I took a deep breath. The moment the words were spoken, Luz froze as if someone had hit the pause button on him. He was completely paralyzed. It probably never crossed his mind that the words "let's break up" would ultimately come from my mouth. For the first time, that perpetually nonchalant person who always seemed to look down on everything showed a flicker of something akin to panic. But it only lasted a few seconds. The air around him suddenly grew heavy. His face turning ashen, Luzi curled his lip, trying to regain control of the situation. Who taught you this trick? If you think you can control me with this, you're being naive. Shamor, no one believes you'd actually leave me. A word of advice. My patience has limits. Push too far, and you'll regret how this ends. If I really break up with you, don't come crying and begging me to take you back. I met his gaze and said, word by deliberate word, this isn't a joke. And no one put me up to it. You're the one who said if I couldn't handle it, we should break up. I'm just following through. Let's end this. Luzi, I mean it. Shamor. He slammed his fist against the wall like a rabid dog, his face dark and terrifying. After what felt like an eternity, a chilling smile suddenly twisted his lips. Fine, you want to break up. Don't you dare regret this. I'm curious to see how long you can keep this up. I moved out of Luz's villa. The scheduled abortion is set for a week from now. 8. I went through a series of physical examinations first. No major issues. Before boarding the plane, I immediately blocked and deleted all of Luz's contact information in one go. Then, I flew to the apartment my best friend had found for me, becoming her neighbor. Over the years, Luzi and I each got what we wanted. He had his fun, and I got the money. It wasn't a bad deal. I learned a lot about making money from him. And the savings I've accumulated are enough to live comfortably for the rest of my life. On the plane, I was thinking about what to do next. Maybe I'll enjoy being single for a while. Or maybe I'll marry the good man my grandmother handpicked for me. But on the very first day after moving out of Luz's place, I still ended up going to a bar with my best friend to drown my sorrows. At the bar, I was a complete mess, crying my eyes out. My best friend let out a sigh and said, if you knew breaking up with him would leave you so devastated, why did you insist on ending things? Do you regret it now? I wiped my tears and said, honestly, I just enjoy playing the tragic heroine sometimes. I'll be back to my usual energetic self by tomorrow. My best friend gave me a thumbs up and said, iconic. She opened her phone's camera. You know, you actually look really pretty when you cry. That delicate, vulnerable vibe is so hard to capture. Let me get a picture of this. I reminded her, don't forget to Photoshop it after you're done shooting. But she hadn't even started taking pictures yet. My sixth sense tingled, alerting me that someone was secretly photographing me from behind. I spun around abruptly, but amidst the shifting silhouettes in the bar, I couldn't spot anything out of the ordinary. It must have just been my imagination. My best friend asked, what's wrong? I shook my head. It's nothing. By the way, have you started filming? Let me find the right angle. The day I went to the abortion clinic, while waiting for my turn in line, I felt a bit bored. 9. The pregnant woman next to me was quite the chatterbox. Seeing I was alone, she couldn't resist striking up a conversation. Why did you come by yourself? Where's your partner? I said. Broke up with my boyfriend. That's why. She let out a sigh. You young people are always so impulsive, even if you've broken up. You can still patch things up. Look at your eyes, it's obvious you've been crying these past few days. You must still have feelings for them, right? Honestly, I only cried because I love being dramatic, not because I'm actually heartbroken. Don't be fooled by how devastated I was when we broke up. If I actually had to carry his child, I wouldn't dare. I laughed. I know the difference between crying into a pillow and crying with a baby in my arms. Let's just date for now. I have someone else in mind for marriage. Just then, a sinister voice whispered in my ear. Oh, and who exactly do you plan to marry? That voice, so hauntingly familiar, it made my blood run cold in an instant. I turned my head stiffly, only to meet Luz's piercing gaze. He stood right behind me, watching me with a cold, insincere smile and eyes as icy as frost. I had no idea how much of what I just said he had overheard. Before I could even react, he grabbed my wrist firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. "Come with me." Just then, the doctor called my name. Lucy pulled me into his arms and explained to the doctor with a smile. "Sorry, we had a little disagreement, but it's all sorted out now. We won't be going through with the surgery." The doctor adjusted his glasses and said sternly, "You young people really have no sense of responsibility. Especially you. How could you drive your girlfriend to get an abortion alone? You're failing as a boyfriend." It was the first time I'd seen Lucy exercise such restraint. He didn't lose his temper, maintaining his composure as he replied, "You're absolutely right. We'll communicate better from now on." To any onlooker, we must have looked like an inseparable couple having a minor spat. He dragged me out of the hospital. His grip was too strong for me to break free. I pleaded, "Let go of me." Lucy scooped me up in his arms, deposited me in the car, slid in beside me, and locked the doors. He flung the photos of me crying at the bar right in front of me. He spoke through gritted teeth. "Shiamo, I had no idea you were such a drama queen. I was worried you might do something rash, so I had someone keep an eye on you and report back to me about how you were doing. Do you have any idea what went through my mind when I saw this photo? Damn it, my heart was breaking for you. I was hoping we could make up. I even wanted to rush over right then, hold you in my arms, and comfort you properly. Do you have any idea what I was doing while you were planning to get rid of our baby? I was fucking designing the engagement ring I wanted to give you, over and over with people. Shiamo, you're truly heartless. That was our child. That's our baby you're talking about ending. How could you even consider it?" His shoulders began to shake violently. Finally, he reached out and pulled me into an embrace so tight it felt like he was trying to merge our souls. "You're pregnant, why didn't you tell me? If you had just said something, I would have married you. Shamor, you're wonderful, you win. I was a complete jerk this time. Let's make up. Do you want a traditional Chinese wedding or a Western-style one? And where would you like to go for our honeymoon after we're married? I'll go along with whatever you decide." I stared at the bloodshot veins in his eyes, remained silent for a few seconds, and then slowly began to speak. "Since you already know it's your child, then why don't you cover the cost of the abortion?" Lucy froze, his eyes filled with utter disbelief. I met his gaze and added, "The abortion is quite expensive. I think we should split the cost." He stared at me, remaining silent for a long while. Finally, he let out an exasperated laugh. "Shamor, you never once considered me in your future plans. Did you?" His eyes reddened completely. This man who always treated love as a game and never bowed to anyone. "You'd been planning to leave me all along, haven't you? What exactly did I mean to you in your heart?" I looked at him. "Lucy, stop saying you're not in my future plans. We're evenly matched when it comes to weighing pros and cons. I'd definitely date someone attractive, but I have someone else in mind for marriage. Let's not talk about owing each other anything. This is just mutual benefit." Lucy took a deep breath. "I know you're angry with me. You resent me, okay. I accept that, but I don't agree with you terminating our pregnancy. This is our child. You can't make this decision unilaterally," I said, measuring each word carefully. "Lucy, this is my body, and I have the right to decide what happens to it." That sentence was like a fuse, instantly shattering his sanity. Luz completely lost his mind, practically shouting, "Shamor, that's our child. What else do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Drive Jiang Shuaman away? I'll call her right now and make sure she never shows up again." "I can do that, Lucy, you said it yourself. If you can't handle this, we're done." I cut him off. "You've always been able to handle things before. What's gotten into you?" Lucy nearly gritted his teeth to dust. "Fine, I'm pathetic. I was wrong. I'm fucking incapable of playing this game." He grasped my hand, his demeanor utterly humbled. "Shiamo, let's start over. Please. This time, there won't be anyone else." I looked at his red-rimmed eyes, slowly shook my head, my tone calm yet resolute. "But I'm done with this, Luz. It took me 5 years to finally understand one thing. We're just not right for each other. Let's just end things here." Luz refused to leave. That very day, he contacted an agent and rented the apartment next to mine. In the days that followed, he became an inescapable presence in my life, like a shadow I couldn't shake. In the mornings, he would gently knock on my door and leave my favorite breakfast at my doorstep. Whenever I returned from my walks, I'd often find him strolling along my usual route, and he'd proactively explain, "Don't be nervous. I just finished a remote meeting and came out for some fresh air." There was even a time when I went downstairs to pick up a package and saw him standing with a woman, talking. When he saw me, he almost immediately walked quickly towards me and clarified right away, "Momo, I'm not close with her. She was just asking for directions." In the past, he never explained anything about his relationships with other women, even when I stayed up late binge-watching shows. The light in his living room would remain on until around the same time I called it a night. He never overstepped, keeping just a door's width between us. He watched over me in this clumsy way, like a stubborn vine quietly creeping into the edges of my life, but I felt not the slightest bit moved. I know he just finally realized he can't control me anymore. He never truly faced the possibility of losing me, always assuming I'd forgive, wait, and clean up his mess. When I actually left, he lost it, not because of some sudden affection, but because he found his old confidence gone. He didn't suddenly fall in love, he just lost his sense of control and started to panic. He wasn't trying to keep me, he was trying to keep the version of me that revolved around him and constantly compromised. What he's desperately chasing isn't me as a person, but his position in this relationship. I don't deny that he's emotional and even a little regretful. But that's not love's last flicker, it's emptiness, resentment, and loss of control. Fortunately, this delicate balance didn't last long. When I returned home this time, Lucy was waiting for me at the door. He said to me, "There's an emergency with a company project, I need to go back and handle it. 3 days. I'll be back in 3 days at most. Shamor, wait for me, will you?" I didn't respond, yet he seemed to take my silence as consent. Or perhaps he was just clinging to this small comfort to keep going. He gave me one last lingering look before hastily grabbing his coat and leaving. The day after he left, I scheduled an abortion. The lights above the operating table were blindingly bright. No text to translate. As my consciousness faded, I felt the heavy stone that had been weighing on my heart finally settle gently to the ground. After that, I moved out. Luz was in the company conference room when he got the news. They say he was in a high-level meeting when he saw the message. His face instantly went pale, and his pen slammed onto the table with a sharp crack, cutting off everyone's discussion. Without a word, he stormed out of the conference room, walked straight to his office, and the moment the door closed, his pent-up rage erupted. Files on the desk were swept to the floor. He leaned against the wall, clutching his hair, letting out a trapped animal-like whimper from his throat. The dense red veins in his eyes were stark, and even his breathing trembled. Amid the chaos, Jiang Shuaman rushed over upon hearing the news. She tried to knock and enter to console him, but he roared through the door, driving her away. "Get out, get the hell out. Don't bother coming to work tomorrow, I never want to see you again." He kept calling me from different phone numbers after that. His tone shifted from desperate confrontations to cautious apologies. He pleaded, "Momo, I miss you so much. Please don't hang up, I just want to hear your voice one more time." I stopped responding and blocked every single one of his numbers. Life is gradually getting back on track. My best friend and I pooled some money together and opened a dessert shop. 11. We painted the walls in warm white and furnished the place with natural wood tables and chairs. Back in college, we once conducted a survey like this: if money weren't a factor, what would be your dream job? My best friend and I both share the same dream, to open a dessert shop together. Back then, I was juggling 3 part-time jobs every day, too exhausted to even think about pursuing that dream. Now, it's becoming a reality within reach. Later, at my grandmother's urging, I started going on arranged dates one after another. When I first met Chen Yu, he was wearing a crisply ironed white shirt and holding a literature book in his hand. He was quite handsome, easily on par with Lu Ziyi. But his good looks were completely different from Lu Ziyi's assertive, striking handsomeness. He wore gold-rimmed glasses and carried himself with refined elegance. His gaze through the lenses was gentle yet focused, always accompanied by a thoughtful smile when he looked at people. He approached everything at a measured pace, a man of remarkable emotional stability. He was a Chinese literature professor at the university next door, and the son of my grandmother's old friend. He seemed to like me. And we started seeing each other more often. I didn't hide my past with Lu Ziyi from him, and found the right moment to tell him everything. At first, I was worried he might mind, but he didn't say much, just looked me in the eyes and said with utter sincerity, "Xiaomor, all of that is in the past now. He hurt you deeply, and I hope you can truly move on and start the next chapter of your life with a fresh perspective." Then, after we had been together for 3 months, he said to me solemnly, "Xiaomor, let's give this a shot." Our relationship wasn't some whirlwind romance, but it felt comfortable in every way. Chen Yu is the classic father figure type of partner. He's 3 years older than me, mature, steady, and emotionally grounded. He carefully plans our future together. He likes to keep an eye on me, but also spoils me. He always reminds me to eat and drink properly, and after I shower, he gently helps me blow dry my hair and do the laundry. With him around, the house is always neat and tidy. In our dynamic, I'm usually the one being playful while he's the one smiling at my antics. He's always happy to join in my silliness and go along with my playful energy. When we're together, it's hard for us to even get into an argument. He always picks up on my mood right away. When we have disagreements, his first instinct is to comfort me. He waits for me to calm down before gently explaining things, piece by piece, on the rare occasions when I feel unwell during my period. He doesn't just offer empty words. Instead, he proactively buys heating patches and brown sugar. Arriving at my place, he'd be carrying a thermal container with a carefully simmered red date and millet porridge inside, cooked until perfectly soft. Then he'd sit beside me, gently massaging my stomach with a touch so tender, as if handling the most fragile treasure. We've been together for 6 months. The evening breeze still carried the lingering warmth of late summer. I was looking down, watching my shadow sway beneath my feet. When Chen Yu quietly moved closer and gently took my hand from behind, I turned to look at him. He took out an engagement ring. Chen Yu didn't rush to hand it over, but gazed at me quietly, his voice softer than the breeze. "Xiaomor, I wasn't the first person you ever embraced, nor the first to hold your hand. I know I'm not the first person you've loved, though I missed being part of your past. I truly hope to walk with you through all your tomorrows. Will you marry me?" Seeing the earnest light in his eyes, I nodded. A year after we got married, we were blessed with an adorable daughter, whom we affectionately call Nian Nian. Nian Nian takes after Chen Yu, with gentle eyes and 2 charming little dimples that appear when she smiles. On weekends when the weather is nice, I often hold Chen Yu's hand and take Nian Nian to the mall for some shopping. That day, as I was bending over to pick out a dress for Nian Nian at the entrance of the children's clothing store, a familiar, hoarse voice suddenly came from behind me. I turned around and saw Luz standing not far away. His eyes were bloodshot, and compared to his former spirited self, he now carried a touch of weariness. Luz's gaze fell upon Nian Nian. He froze for a moment. Then a faint glimmer of hope suddenly ignited in his eyes. Staggering forward, his voice trembling, he said, "Momo, this is our child, isn't it?" Before I could utter a word, Nian Nian in my arms suddenly called out "Daddy" to him. She broke free from my grasp and dashed toward Lu Ziyi. Lu Ziyi nearly reached out to hold her, but she brushed right past him. She ran towards Chen Yu, who had just bought ice cream. Chen Yu caught the rushing Nian Nian and handed her the ice cream with a smile. Lu Ziyi watched as Nian Nian threw herself into Chen Yu's arms, the light in his eyes slowly fading. Holding Nian Nian, Chen Yu walked towards me. When I looked up and saw Lu Ziyi, he didn't ask any questions, just gently put his arm around my shoulder and gave me a reassuring look. Lu Ziyi's lips parted, but no words came out. In the end, he just stood there dejectedly, watching the 3 of us, our little family, slowly disappear into the crowd, leaning against Chen Yu, feeling the warmth of his palm, and watching Nian Nian beam with joy as she held her ice cream. My heart was filled with a deep sense of peace. All those memories of Lu Ziyi finally dissipated completely, like a passing breeze. Our days ahead need not be grand or dramatic. Simply holding hands like this, steady and sure, can turn every ordinary dawn and dusk into a deep, grounded happiness. Story 2. On the final day of college applications, my childhood sweetheart suddenly changed his choice to the same university as the campus belle. Our friends teased him. "What about your little sweetheart? Didn't you two promise to go to Harbin together 6 years ago?" My childhood friend seemed to just remember this matter, paused for a moment, then answered nonchalantly, "Shiyao, don't worry, she has my account credentials. When she notices I've changed my application choices, she'll follow suit anyway. It's not like she can live without me." I remained silent for a long while, slip away quietly, pretending to know nothing. That day, I didn't check the system again, nor did I follow his lead in changing my application. What he didn't know was this: he could cross mountains and seas for the campus spell, while I too had skies I longed to soar toward. That dream I chased day and night, it was never just about him to begin with. 1. Jichuan's words left me frozen, barely remembering to breathe. Getting into HIT together became our solemn promise the moment we entered 7th grade. For 2 whole days, our families sat together deliberating before finally submitting those life-changing applications. But now, he suddenly changed his own, without even telling me. Inside the private dining room, a friend pressed curiously, "How did you know Shiyaro would log back into your application system for another look? What if she didn't even notice?" Jichuan scoffed as if hearing a joke. "More than just a glance, I know her too well. She'd probably check it 800 times a day, terrified of making a mistake that might land us in different majors." He sighed helplessly at this point. "You wouldn't understand. If you'd had a shadow clinging to you since childhood that you couldn't shake off, you'd get it." The crowd burst into laughter. His friend had an epiphany, but still protested, "Even if they find out. You really think Shiyaro would just follow your last-minute change of college preference?" Jichuan looked up from his game and scoffed. "Fuck off. Shiyaro and I haven't been apart for more than a week since birth. Who else would she go to college with if not me?" Another friend couldn't help but chime in. "Look, H1, no offense, but that wasn't exactly fair of you. Couldn't you just tell them you changed your application?" Jichuan's finger paused on the screen. His expression visibly irritated. "Honestly forgot, and it's such a hassle. Can't be bothered to explain all this to her. If she finds out I changed plans for Sumin's sake, there'll be another scene. Besides, it wasn't a casual decision. Sumin said she's scared about studying alone down south. Having a familiar friend along would put her at ease." The friends exchanged knowing glances, silently commiserating. Well, Suman's such a stunning beauty. And with her family situation being what it is, it's hard not to feel protective of her. Not like that pathetic simp Shiyaro of yours, always buried in books looking like a mess. Totally lacking the charm compared to the campus belle. TSK even gave up his beloved aerospace major for her. Brother Chuan sure knows how to treat a lady right. The sounds of laughter and video games continued to mingle. Standing outside the door, I felt like plunging into an icy abyss. My fists clenched so tightly my nails dug into my palms. I desperately wanted to burst in and confront Jichuan with furious accusations, yet my feet felt leaden, utterly refusing to take that step forward. Stood there silently for what felt like an eternity. In the end, couldn't muster the courage, just turned away without a word, stumbled out of the restaurant in a daze. 2. Only when safely locked in my room did the long-suppressed tears finally break free. Jichuan's words kept echoing in my mind. Word for word, I still can't make sense of it. How could he suddenly abandon his childhood dream of aviation? After all these years working toward our shared goal, we finally scored high enough for our dream majors. Just seconds before entering the private dining room, I was still naively overjoyed about building our dreams together. But I never could have imagined the future I fought tooth and nail to create for us both. He'd casually throw it all away over someone else's passing remark. But even if you wanted to change things, was it too much to just let me know? Are you really that afraid I'd cling to you? If you're so afraid of that, then what about that night under the stars on my 18th birthday? What does that hesitant yet tender kiss he initiated mean, when our hearts were pounding like thunder? Was it just a tipsy whim of his that I mistook for sincerity? Something inside me suddenly snapped. Truth be told, I don't absolutely have to tag along with him. From kindergarten onward, I attended the same elementary, middle, and high schools as Jichuan. Everyone, including Jichuan himself, took it for granted that I'd always stay by his side, that we'd never part ways. But no one knew my reason for wanting to attend that school went beyond just relying on him. It had nothing to do with Jichuan. Even if he didn't go, I'd still go alone. I turned off the computer I'd unconsciously powered on moments ago, couldn't bear another glance at that admissions portal. Not a single thought crossed my mind about changing my applications for him. He'd cross oceans for the campus belle, while I've got my own skies to chase. Since we're all on our own paths now, there's no need to dwell on the past. 3. Everything became crystal clear the moment I understood. It's no big deal. Mom was right, growing up is something we all must do on our own. As for that kiss, might as well consider it a nip from a stray puppy. Just splashed cold water on my face to calm down when Jichuan video called. My mind hesitated, but my finger hit accept on reflex. Xiaoyaosha, why aren't you here yet? Everyone's waiting for you to start dinner. What's taking you so long? Princess, after the college entrance exams, Jichuan and his close childhood friends agreed to take turns hosting creative dinners to unwind. Today was Jichuan's turn to treat. But I don't feel like going anymore. I'll pass. You guys go ahead. Before the words fully left her mouth, a deliberately hushed, coquettish voice sounded beside Jichuan. H1. Since Shiyao refused to come, does she dislike me joining your little gathering? Before Jichuan could respond, several male voices chimed in with urgent protests. Nonsense. We'd be honored to have our campus belle grace us with her presence. Xiao's always been a bit possessive. She makes a fuss whenever any girl gets close to Jichuan. We're used to it by now. Suman's profile unexpectedly entered Jichuan's camera frame, her face hovering dangerously close to his. She whispered understandingly to him, H1, maybe I should leave first. I don't want to put you in an awkward position. Jichuan's expression changed instantly as he turned to grab her arm. Suman, you're not going anywhere. What's gotten into Shiyao today? If she doesn't want to come, then don't bother. No more waiting. Let's eat. Jichuan snapped those cold words at me and hung up the video before I could respond. I was fuming inside and immediately blocked Jichuan in retaliation. This is the first time I've ever blocked him after an argument. All because of Suman again. For, ever since Suman transferred here in sophomore year, I've lost count of how many exceptions Jichuan has made for her. Maybe all guys prefer that type, sweet, innocent-looking girls. During those days when I was buried in books, looking like a complete mess, Susan never settled for less, always up early with flawless natural makeup, perpetually polished and gorgeous. We've had countless fights and cold wars over Susan. I even thought he had feelings for Suman and decided to give up on Jichuan, deliberately distancing myself from him a few times. But every time, Jichuan would seek me out and reassure me repeatedly, stop overthinking it. Suman's just a classmate to me, nothing more. Don't read into things. I just wanted to help her because she's had it rough. Her family situation is complicated. People compliment her face to face, but behind her back, they judge her unfairly. I took Jichuan at his word. Given Suman's complicated family situation, I didn't make a fuss about her growing closeness with him. Besides, Jichuan had never lied to me since we were kids. If he said he didn't like her, I believed him. But later, without me realizing, Jichuan gradually shared countless moments with her that I knew nothing about. Even now, he even carelessly changed his college entrance exam preferences just for Suman, making me look all the more ridiculous. My mind was a tangled mess of thoughts until the WeChat notification snapped me back to reality. Xiaoyao, you've got some nerve blocking me. Just wait till you get home. Angry, Jichuan borrowed his friend's account to message me, without hesitation. I blocked all his friends' accounts too. After checking the time, I quickly got ready and headed to school. On the final day of college applications, our homeroom teacher called a last meeting to give us instructions. The traffic was heavy, and by the time I arrived, Jichuan and Suman were already in the classroom. The seat next to Jichuan was supposed to be mine, but Suman had firmly planted herself there. She didn't even bother to stand up or move aside when I approached. Her eyes brimming with smug satisfaction, Jichuan acted oblivious, his expression icy as he deliberately turned his head away to avoid looking at me, almost as if waiting for me to cave in and apologize first. But I wouldn't. Perfect. I didn't want to sit next to Jichuan anyway. After scanning the room, I immediately took the empty seat beside my best friend Larry, keeping my distance from them. Class, you've only got half a day left for college applications. Double-check everything carefully. Students who still can't make up their minds can consult the teacher individually. After giving brief instructions, the teacher let everyone have free time. I was listening to Larry spill some celebrity gossip when someone suddenly tapped my head. Shiyao, step outside for a moment. I turned my head and locked eyes with Jichuan, looked away, ignoring him deliberately, turned back to continue chatting with Larry. Jichuan grabbed my shoulder and spun me around to face him. Shiyao, what's your problem this time? I'm exhausted, fighting and giving each other the silent treatment every time. We're about to start college, how childish can you get? I had no choice but to meet his gaze, snapping back irritably. Childish and pointless indeed, so stop coming to me with your peace offerings. After a brief staring contest, Jichuan lost his patience. Whatever, can't be bothered with petty people. Keep up the act if you want, just don't go crying about it later. I turned away with a cold expression. A moment later, I thought he had left, but Jichuan suddenly cupped my face in both hands, locking eyes with me as he said earnestly, "Today's the deadline for submitting your college preferences, double-check everything to avoid mistakes." He was about to continue when Suman abruptly approached holding a laptop. "H1, I'm having a minor issue with my college application. Could you take a look for me?" Jichuan nodded, before leaving. He pinched my cheek affectionately like he always did, then reminded me one last time, "Why didn't you bring your laptop? Remember to go to the school computer lab later and double-check your application. Don't cut corners when it comes to life-changing decisions." 5. I sneered inwardly. Jichuan probably thought that after his reminder, I'd double-check and immediately follow his lead by changing my preference to Xiamen, yet he remained stubbornly indirect, refusing to tell me outright. Fair enough, if he'd straight-up admitted changing his application, he'd have to waste energy explaining himself to a difficult person like me. What a hassle. Thank goodness I've made up my mind, there's no turning back now. Glancing at Jichan, who was busy helping Swan with her college applications, I pulled Lori out of the classroom. Just as I was about to hail a cab home, Lori noticed my mood and insisted on dragging me to her friend's birthday party. Unable to refuse, I reluctantly went along. After dinner, they practically dragged me to that new bar downtown. Got there only to find Jichuan's party was happening at the same spot. Since we knew half the people from both groups, we naturally merged into one VIP room. Jichuan looked visibly uncomfortable when he saw me. He said nothing and didn't even acknowledge me. I treated him like thin air. While heading to the restroom, I overheard Jichuan talking with his friend around the corner. The guy was trying to persuade him, "Just be straight with her. It's really tough for a young girl to travel all the way to northeast China." Jichuan still didn't pay attention. "Don't worry." I made sure to emphasize it multiple times. "She must have already fixed it. The reason she's mad at me now is probably because we didn't discuss this with her beforehand." Before I could react, the two of them emerged from around the corner. Spotting me, Jichuan signaled his friend to leave with a glance, then cornered me in the hallway. "Shi Yao, we need to talk." I shot him a glare and turned to leave. I'd barely taken a step when he pulled me back, trapping me against the wall. The scent of alcohol on his breath washed over me. I instinctively turned my face away. After a brief standoff, Jichuan was the first to break, letting out an involuntary chuckle. "Still mad at me? I was going to text you this afternoon to invite you to the bar, but you blocked me, so it didn't go through. You pissed me off again in class, so I forgot to mention it to you. Come on, be good. Stop sulking. I don't know why you're in such a mood all day. By the way, have you double-checked your volunteer applications?" My face remained expressionless, with no desire to speak to him. I kept my head down in silence, as the standoff continued. He seemed about to say something when Suman's voice suddenly rang out behind us. "H1, how wants you for drinks?" Sorry, what were you guys? Sometimes I wonder if Suman has me bugged. Every time Jichuan talks to me, she materializes instantly, but I didn't want to chat with them. So I ducked under Jichuan's arm when he turned away. As I passed by Sumin, she grabbed my arm with a death grip. 6. I'm really sorry, Xiao, I didn't mean to interrupt you too. Ever since you got angry and left, H1's been in a terrible mood too. I ignored her, wrenching my hand free with force when her grip became painful. Sumin staggered back, tears welling up in her eyes instantly. H1, is Xiao still upset about me crashing your little gathering? Should I apologize to her properly? I don't want to cause any more tension between you guys. Suman moved in front of me, making a show of bowing in apology. Jichuan snapped, immediately turning to block Suman's gesture. She's the one acting like a spoiled princess. Why are you apologizing to her? Xiao, why did you push her? You owe Suman an apology. We'll all be at the same university soon. We should look out for each other. Since you love playing caretaker so much, you two can take care of each other. I snapped before storming off, ignoring Jichuan's displeased warning from behind. Xiao, you've gone too far. It took quite a while before Jichuan and Suman returned. Jichuan's face was stiff, while Suman had recovered, now wearing a bashful expression. Everyone except Lori teased them about sneaking off together, deliberately setting up romantic moments during Truth or Dare. Even Jichuan's childhood friend joined the teasing, completely unconcerned about whether I'd feel awkward or upset. Makes sense, after all, I'm just Jichuan's pathetic simp in their eyes. When Suman drew the steamy dance with opposite-sex challenge, her pleading eyes immediately sought out Jichuan. Jichuan shot me a barely perceptible glance, almost tauntingly, before readily agreeing to partner with her. In the past, I would have stormed over in jealous protest without hesitation, but now, not even a flicker of reaction. Suman was part of the street dance club in school, with a smoking hot figure that made her moves absolutely mesmerizing. I chugged down a can of beer without a word, calmly watching Suman. She started grinding against Jichuan to the beat of a sultry K-pop track. A knowing smirk played at the corners of Jichuan's lips. At first, his eyes kept darting in my direction, as if waiting for me to call it off at any moment. As Suman closed the distance between them, he became oblivious to everything else, spine straightening, gaze locking solely on her silhouette. Electricity practically crackled between them. As the dance ended, Suman accidentally stumbled right into Jichuan's arms. Her body-hugging dress tonight had her tumbling straight into Jichuan's arms, their tight embrace and seated position radiating undeniable intimacy. The crowd erupted into deafening cheers, nearly raising the roof with their hollering. Suman's face flushed crimson instantly, looking like she wanted to vanish into thin air. Jichuan scolded everyone through gritted teeth, warning them not to take the joke too far. Yet he pulled Suman's face into his chest in one swift motion, shielding her from prying eyes. That effortless intimacy and familiarity used to be reserved for me alone, even though I'd resolved to let go. Seeing this still made my heart ache uncontrollably. I couldn't bear to watch any longer. Took the last sip of whiskey and quietly left the private room. Yi couldn't take it either and followed me out, ranting with me on the sidewalk for ages. She'd been biting her tongue all night. I stopped her from blowing up several times. Why spoil the mood? We'll just be strangers from now on anyway. I don't know how things ended up between them in there. I just feel exhausted, like nothing matters anymore. I got home at exactly 11:55 p.m. Only 5 minutes left before the application deadline. Completely drained, I closed my eyes and collapsed onto the bed. I can't say I'm not disappointed. A decade-long relationship isn't something you can just walk away from. Amid the heartache, the phone suddenly rang. Unknown caller. The call connected to a drunken Jichuan. His voice carried an uncharacteristically coaxing tone. Xiaoyao, don't be stubborn now. Remember to change your college preferences. Xiamen's lovely too, right by the sea. I'll take you beachside for travel photos later. 7. Perhaps it was the alcohol. But Jichuan was uncharacteristically gentle. Whenever we quarreled before, even when he caved first, there was always that hint of threat in his tone. Shi Yao, stop this nonsense. Keep it up and don't expect me to take you to Disneyland. Then I'd obediently take the olive branch and forgive him. How could you bear to really fall out with someone you truly love? But this time, the more he acted out of character, the worse I felt inside. Say something, Shi Xiaoyao, my little Yao Yao, how about it? Haven't you been begging for a beach vacation? I heard the new campus is right by the ocean. You'd absolutely love it. Honestly, Harbin is just too far, and winters there are brutal. You'd be sniffling from the cold in no time. But if you're really set on it, I could take you to Ice and Snow World during winter break. Jichuan kept rambling, as if trying to convince himself as much as me, almost like switching to Xiamen University was some grand favor to me. I listened in silence for a while before finally blurting out, Jichuan, isn't there something you need to tell me? My voice cracked with emotion I hadn't even realized I was feeling. I thought if he could just be honest about his issues now, maybe, we could still be ordinary friends in the future. If he still refuses to give a straight answer now, then honestly, there's no point keeping in touch. The person across hesitated for just a few seconds before dodging again. You already know everything. Why bother asking? Throwing a tantrum over this all day, what a petty drama queen. Alright, they're all good universities anyway, and you chose the major you love. As long as we're together, it doesn't matter which college we attend. Jichuan kept rambling on, deliberately avoiding the heart of the matter. I couldn't be bothered to listen anymore. One last chance. There's nothing left. I hung up before he finished speaking and powered off the phone. The clock showed the second hand had just passed 12. No room for regrets now. Fine then, we all made our own choices, and in a way, we each got what we wanted. Turn off the lights, lie still, and force myself to sleep. But the moment I close my eyes, Jichuan floods my thoughts. Happy Jichuan, sad Jichuan, funny Jichuan, angry Jichuan, every version of him. We grew up together from childhood, his presence woven into every memory. Never did I imagine it would come to this. The night always leaves us most vulnerable. Though I vowed to stay strong by daylight, my tears still soaked the pillow unbidden, drifting in and out of consciousness. I didn't even notice when sleep took me. When I woke again, it was already noon the next day. My phone screen lit up with missed calls and messages from unknown numbers, all from Jichuan. I ignored it. My WeChat was blowing up. In the girls' group chat Li Yi had added me to, people kept getting everyone to spill the tea. 8. When I checked, one of the girls had posted a screenshot of a moment's post from 1 a.m. The girls are all gossiping in the group chat. TSK, the campus bell just made it official late at night. How many couples have gone public since the college entrance exams ended? Typical campus bell, clearly born with a silver spoon. That watch alone must cost tens of thousands. Wow, they're really going all out. Post-exam freedom hits different. A screenshot from Sumin's social media feed. I instinctively tapped to enlarge the image. The side profile of a guy lying on the white hotel bed was Jichuan's sleeping face. Even with just a quarter of his face visible, I recognized him instantly. My heart ached involuntarily in that instant. Sumin's caption took the ambiguity to another level. With reckless courage, I took 99 steps toward you. Thankfully, you finally turned around and took the last step toward me. This moment, pure bliss. Red heart hash. The post garnered numerous likes and comments, with Sumin's replies dripping with suggestive undertones. Most of Jichuan's close friends were there. My heart sank. So they've already reached this point. So last night, while Jichuan was tenderly comforting me, he was also intimately entangled with someone else. Indeed. You've worked hard. My mood hit rock bottom again. Yet at the same time, I felt somewhat relieved. Thank goodness I didn't actually follow his advice to change my college application. Otherwise, I'd have been the real fool for the next 4 years. I turned off the screen, forcing myself to stop looking and dwelling on Jichuan and Susan's situation, still lost in thought when the doorbell suddenly rang. Opened the door to find Jichuan standing there. 9 dark circles were visibly shadowing Jichuan's eyes. He was still carrying that box of pastries from my favorite bakery. I froze in the doorway, making no move to let him in. Yet he nudged me aside and strode past like he owned the place. Heading straight for the living room. At the dining table, he set down the dessert and instinctively reached to ruffle my hair like he always used to. Barely dodged that one. Xiaoyarosha, someone's getting feisty lately. You've been ignoring all my texts and calls. What, you're gonna wait till I leave for vacation without you? Then come crying after me. Jichuan carefully unwrapped the little cake, cut it into small pieces, and held them out to me. Come on. Don't be mad, I took a half-hour cab ride first thing this morning just to get you these pastries. Go ahead, I know you've been craving them. After you eat, we'll plan our holiday getaway. I didn't take the cake from him. He gave me a wry smile and tried to feed me cake directly with his fork, but I subtly stepped back. Fine, princess, we'll skip dessert if you're not in the mood. You've always dreamed of visiting Xinjiang, right? Summer break's the perfect time for that spontaneous trip you never had time for. I've invited Housie and the crew. We'll charter 2 cars. More people, more fun. Just us two would be boring. I shook my head in refusal. I'll pass. You go ahead without me. I'm about to head out, so please leave now. Jichuan froze momentarily before responding helplessly. Why, you've been talking about this for years. Are you really skipping it just to spite me? He set down the cake and reached out to pull me into a hug. As I dodged him, I didn't notice his other hand snatching my phone. Cut it out, will you? I was hungover and barely slept last night, then had to coax you awake at dawn. I'm exhausted. I snapped back. Nobody asked you to coax me. And I don't need your coaxing either. Jichuan frowned. Then tell me why you changed your mind about going. I stared at him, puzzled. If you truly wanted to discuss it with me, you wouldn't have finalized the plans before asking. Besides, isn't it better if I don't go? Suman will definitely go with you anyway. Why drag me along just to witness your happiness? Jichuan let out a heavy sigh. It was the telltale sign of his patience running thin. Yes, Su-man is definitely going, she's always loved Xinjiang. But she's not the only girl. Besides you two, Fatty's girlfriend is coming too. Why are you so fixated on her? Did she do something to you? Given her family situation, she hasn't traveled in years. Now that the college entrance exams are finally over, what's wrong with her paying her own way to join the trip? Xinjiang's massive, you telling me there's no room for one more person? Ji Chuan seemed genuinely exhausted, speaking without thinking. He pissed me off so much I could only nod stiffly. Fine. Go with whoever you want, I'm not going anyway. Ji Chuan's temper flared up too. Last warning, Shi Yao, I've given you multiple chances to back down gracefully. Push it any further and we're done. I've already bought your plane ticket. Meet me at the airport tomorrow morning. Suit yourself. He slammed his phone on the table and stormed out. I didn't even try to stop him. Followed behind him and slammed the door shut the moment he stepped out. Ji Chuan was absolutely livid. His face was thunderous as the door closed, yet he still found time to lecture me. With that foul temper of yours, how do you expect to get along with dorm mates at a southern university? 10. I slammed the door on that lingering tone. Back in the living room, I angrily tossed Ji Chuan's cake into the trash. As if I'd want his stupid cake. Like I'd ever want to travel with him and Suman. Even his attempts to play peacemaker between his childhood sweetheart and the new flame struck me as utterly ridiculous. I sat fuming on the couch. To minimize his negative influence on my mood, I decided to take a trip myself. They say it only takes 21 days to form a new habit. I figured breaking a habit should only take 21 days too. Mom wasn't comfortable with me traveling abroad alone, so she only agreed to let me stay with my aunt in Hainan for a while. With my college applications submitted and nothing urgent to do, I packed light and booked a direct flight to Sonia that same evening. Before 10 p.m. that night, I was already enjoying a seafood barbecue at my aunt's villa. The sea breeze carried the sizzling aroma of grilled meat, instantly lifting my spirits. I couldn't resist posting those mouth-watering midnight snacks on Moments. Larry and the girls got so jealous they immediately planned to visit me soon. Woke up the next morning to my cousin's persistent calling. I glanced out the window, the sun was already blazing outside. Here, it's for you. Your childhood sweetheart actually called my number looking for you. My cousin handed me the phone, still half asleep. I answered without thinking. It was Ji Chuan, just as expected. Shi Yao, everyone's gathered except you. We're boarding in half an hour, where are you? Why'd you block me again? Your mom said you're staying with your cousin. Did she come to Lake City? Ji Chuan sounded frantic, snapping out of my thoughts. I replied at a measured pace. No, I'm at her place in Sonia. Ji Chuan's voice carried a hint of impatience. Stop joking around. You were just home yesterday, hurry up and you can still make it. I told you I'm not going with you. Don't waste your time waiting. Silence lingered on the other end of the line. A woman's voice whispered to him nearby. Shi Yao really did go to Sonia. Here's the Moments post she shared last night. My friend showed me. Oh, if Su-man hadn't reminded me. I'd almost forgotten. Ji Chuan can't see my WeChat Moments anymore. Now you believe me, don't you? I retorted. Ji Chuan seemed too furious to even speak. Just before hanging up, I only heard his words through gritted teeth. Shi Yao, you'll regret this. 11. Of course I regret it. I regret not coming here for vacation sooner. The exhaustion from my entire senior year seems to have been healed by these days of sunshine, beaches, coconuts, and seafood barbecues. After my cousin found out about me and Ji Chuan, she was furious. She kept insisting on setting me up with handsome guys and finding all sorts of ways to take me out. Sonia isn't too crowded during the rainy season, and the weather's surprisingly mild. Beachcombing, photography, scuba diving, deep-sea fishing, water parks, ocean bungee jumping. Each day was packed to exhaustion. I'd collapse into bed and sleep instantly, with no time to dwell on unpleasant people. Ji Chuan and his crew seemed to be having a great time too. Our girls' gossip chat kept buzzing with travel photos they'd been posting one after another. I'd been deliberately avoiding looking at them. One day when my cousin finally wore herself out and let me take a break, I absent-mindedly tapped open the chat while scrolling through my phone. Ji Chuan's crew had been everywhere. Every landmark featured their vibrant group shots radiating youthful energy. Flipping through the photos, I kept seeing countless pictures of Ji Chuan and Suman together. Every single one was the centerpiece of Suman's social media grids, impossible to miss. Against backdrops of endless alpine meadows, crystal blue lakes, and distant snow-capped peaks. There they were, just the two of them, frozen in frame after frame. Every scene captured places I'd longed to visit for years. A pang of bitterness welled up in my heart. All those places Ji Chuan and I had promised to explore together ended up being visited with someone else. Turns out no one is truly irreplaceable. My cousin woke up to find me wallowing in self-pity and started scolding me for being so pathetic. What's the big deal about a few social media posts? Anyone can do that. When it comes to taking photos and editing them, your sis here never loses. I've always said you just don't put effort into your looks. Give yourself a little makeover for college and you'll have those college boys swooning. You won't even glance back at your childhood sweetheart then. From that day on, my cousin dragged me into taking tons of gorgeous photos and made sure I flooded my social media with them. After ditching the baggy school uniform, I slipped into all those fairy-like beach dresses my cousin bought me. I was told to ditch my black-framed glasses for contacts, and started learning makeup from my cousin. Perms, manicures, all those post-college entrance exam rituals, she had me try them all. After her makeover, I barely recognized the girl staring back at me in the mirror. Gone was the bookworm buried in studies. I'd transformed into the glamorous influencer aesthetic I'd always envied. Even my mom couldn't believe it was me when she saw the photo. She wiped away tears and sighed. My little girl has grown up. My social media post got quite the engagement. Classmates flooded the comments with likes and amazement at the transformation, even sharing the photo in our class group. Reading all these compliments made me a bit flustered. After some thought, I replied in the group chat, "You're too kind, it's all about the good lighting." My response and Sumin's comment, "Xiao's Photoshop skills are amazing. Teach us sometime," appeared in the class group simultaneously. The group chat fell silent for a moment. Unable to take it anymore, Laurie instantly shared the original live photo I'd sent her in the group chat. The whole class was even more amazed. Even the teacher chimed in with compliments. Who knew our class rep's beauty was hidden under that uniform? Total artsy goddess vibes. Shi Yao's naturally gorgeous. Okay, makeup just makes her more photogenic. All that studying ruined your glow up, otherwise our class would have had 2 campus bells. The person who shaded me earlier stayed quiet, but one of Suman's friends piped up with a snide remark, "Even live photos can be photoshopped." Though I didn't need to defend myself, plenty of classmates spoke up for me. Ji Chuan and Suman never chimed in the group chat, but from that day on, Ji Chuan stopped updating his travel posts altogether. Not long after, Mom told me I'd received the admission letter from Harbin Institute of Technology for my dream program. I cried tears of joy for what felt like forever. All those years of hard work had finally paid off. But then Mom told me Grandma had fallen ill and I needed to return home immediately. 12. As I rushed into Lakeside Airport the next day, of all people to run into, it was Ji Chuan and his group returning from their trip. I'd heard their itinerary was supposed to last a month, yet somehow they'd wrapped up 2 weeks early. When our eyes met, Ji Chuan looked utterly stunned. Even Suman froze for several seconds, after a stiff moment of eye contact. Ji Chuan finally snapped out of it and approached to greet me as I turned to leave. "Shi Yao, you're back today too." The admiration in Ji Chuan's eyes was barely contained as the words slipped out. "I almost didn't recognize you at first. Never expected you'd look quite nice like this. Thanks." This was the first time I'd been apart from Ji Chuan for over a week, but when I came to my senses, I realized it wasn't such a big deal after all, not wanting to exchange pleasantries with him. I hurried toward the exit dragging my suitcase. Mom was waiting at arrivals, and I quickened my pace to reach her. She'd just taken my suitcase when Ji Chuan's voice came from behind. "He actually followed me here. Xiao Yaoshe, why are you in such a hurry?" "Hello, Auntie, Shi Yao. You must have gotten your acceptance letter too, right? My parents insisted I come back for the college celebration banquet. By the way, didn't we agree to host the celebration together?" "My parents have already made reservations at the hotel." Mom didn't respond. After glancing at my silent but visibly upset expression, she stepped in to decline on my behalf. "H1, we've decided not to hold Yororo's college acceptance banquet. I've been swamped at work, and her grandmother's illness has kept the family tied up. We'll have a proper family celebration dinner when things settle down. Please thank your parents for their kind thoughts." Mom handled the explanation with real grace. about what happened between me and Jichuan. She only knows we had a falling out. Jichuan even changed his college application choices over it. I didn't go into details with her, but Mom was also quite upset, thinking Jichuan was being reckless with his future. Jichuan rubbed his nose sheepishly before asking about Grandma's condition. Mom gave vague replies and politely declined Jichuan's offer to share a ride home, leaving with me first. I visited Grandma at the hospital. The doctor said she needs to be transferred to a better hospital in Beijing for surgery, and arrangements have already been made. I volunteered to go to Beijing with my aunt to take care of Grandma. Ever since Dad passed away 8 years ago, Mom has been exhausted from running the company alone. Since I couldn't usually be of much help, I figured I'd use my remaining vacation time to do what I could for them. That same day, I flew to Beijing with Grandma. Naturally, I couldn't make it to Jichuan's college celebration, 13, though even if I'd stayed in town, I wouldn't have gone. That night at Jichuan's party, he seemed upset, kept borrowing phones to pester me, first asking where I was, then after repeated calls realizing I wasn't just late, I wasn't coming at all. He was absolutely furious. Even his mother finally noticed something was off and deliberately called to fish for information. Yao Yao, are you and Archuan having some sort of disagreement? Why didn't you stop by after coming back from the beach? Are you upset with me too? Don't be upset, dear. I'll give that rascal a good talking to when we get back. Remember, you two will be heading to Xiamen together for registration. I've prepared a full set of skincare, sunscreen, and dorm essentials for you. I'm not angry, no need, Auntie. My mom already got everything ready for me. There's really something urgent at home. I'm not in Huqing right now. Just as I was explaining. Ji Chuan suddenly snatched the phone from the other end. Shi Yao, you're absolutely heartless. You actually missed the most important moment of my life with that pathetic excuse. Spit it out, what's your real problem? We've known each other for 18 years, not 18 months or 18 days. Do you even remember that? At that moment, I had just stepped out of my grandmother's hospital room and was heading back to the hotel. I'm completely exhausted. Ji Chuan. Congratulations on getting what you wanted. Something came up at home, so I won't be able to make it. Just as those words were spoken, the other end erupted in shouting. There's a limit to playing hard to get when you're angry, don't you think? How many days has it been? How many times have I swallowed my pride and apologized to you? Do you have any idea how much you're ruining my mood? It's putting a damper on my whole vacation. Are you planning to stay mad until college orientation? Good luck hauling those giant suitcases by yourself when I refuse to help. Whatever, I muttered half-heartedly. A thought crossed my mind. In the hit freshman group chat, quite a few helpful upperclassmen had volunteered to assist on registration day. The sky won't fall without Jichuan. I hung up while Jichuan was still processing his shock. Then came a text from an unknown number. Shi Yao, if you're so tough, don't even think about contacting me in college. Just wait till someone else sweeps me off my feet. You'll be bawling your eyes out then. 14. I rolled my eyes, deleted the text, and blocked the number for good measure. Devoted myself wholeheartedly to taking care of Grandma. The school posted the honor roll with everyone's admission details. I didn't return to school. And Larry told me Jichuan hadn't gone back either. The next day, his father took him to an out-of-town company, saying it was for early career experience. After the college acceptance party, he inexplicably left our class group chat too. I guess this time he really wants to cut all ties with me. Fine then. Grandma's treatment and recovery in Beijing went smoothly, and she was safely brought back to Huqing just before my school registration. I only stayed home for one night. Mom had already packed my luggage for me. The next day, Mom personally took me to complete my school registration. I didn't see Jichuan the entire time. Turns out college isn't that scary after all. Upperclassmen rushed to help carry my multiple suitcases to the dorm the moment I got off the bus. The northeastern girls in my dorm are super friendly too. Our dorm houses all the female students from our major's entire grade. Just 3 days after moving in, they took me on a foodie tour around town, to my surprise. The northeastern cuisine I thought I wouldn't like turned out to be delicious. They even dragged me to a public bathhouse on the very first night. Nothing breaks the ice faster than communal nudity. We became inseparable in no time. Just as I was settling into college life and receiving my third love letter during military training, Jichuan unexpectedly called me again. Shi Yao, I went to your place yesterday to pick you up for registration day. But your mom said you'd already left for campus early. But when I got to school today, I couldn't find out which class you're in no matter who I asked. What's going on? Which campus are you at? I suddenly didn't know where to begin explaining. All this time, he still hadn't realized I never followed his lead in changing my application to Xiamen University. It's not about the campus, we're not even at the same school. I couldn't help but vent. No way, are you kidding me? Jichuan chuckled in disbelief. Don't be mad. Alright, I'm sorry, you win. I surrender. Hurry to the girls' dorm entrance. My mom brought you a ton of stuff, including your favorite pastries. Don't blame me if I start without you. I couldn't hold back anymore and explained everything to him word for word. Jichuan, you're really impossible. My dream school has always been Harbin Institute of Technology for Aerospace Engineering. You know this, it's what I've always wanted. Why would I suddenly choose Xiamen? Just as I was saying this, my dorm mate happened to call me for lunch. Hey sis, wanna grab some sweet and sour pork for lunch? The thick northeastern accent finally flustered Jichuan across the table. When he spoke again, his words came out like a skipping cassette tape. Come on, Shiyao. Stop joking around. No way, you knew I changed my application, right? You couldn't have not changed yours too. How could you dare go to Harbin alone? It's so far away. I let out a sigh. I'm dead serious. Jichuan, you changed your application without consulting me. What made you so certain I'd follow your lead? Especially when you did it for someone else. Me tagging along would have been downright tactless. Jichuan rushed to explain. But that night, I specifically asked you. You said you understood. How could you not have changed yours? That's impossible. This isn't about Suman, is it? I just had a momentary weakness. She was crying about being afraid of getting bullied if she went to another city alone. You know her hometown is in Fujian, but she hasn't dared to go back since her father's scandal, and she only got into college through arts recruitment. She didn't have many options. Unlike you with your grades, that was literally the best school she could scrape into. Jichuan rambled nervously while I remained silent. All I heard was her, even now. He's still only seeing things from Sumin's perspective, never considering how I feel. Sumin's father was a corrupt official who's been in prison for years, though he divorced her mother before getting locked up, but the mother and daughter faced constant scorn in their hometown, so her mother took her to Lakeside City for a fresh start. She was just a child back then, adult matters had nothing to do with her. But her tragedy wasn't my doing. Why should I have to consider her? Jichuan. Since you care so much about her, you've gotten your wish now. We're just casual friends, there's no obligation to keep walking the same path. I hope you'll stop bothering me from now on. I hung up the phone, took a deep breath, and before I could dwell on my emotions, my roommate dragged me off to the cafeteria. I thought Jichuan would finally let it go after all. We were worlds apart, separated by thousands of miles and scars too deep to erase. Yet the very next evening, Jichuan showed up right in front of me, 15, but I wasn't alone at that moment. There happened to be a classmate of mine standing awkwardly nearby. He's quite handsome and tall, his name pops up on the confession wall all the time. I was just about to ask if he needed help with something. He'd been stealing glances at me the whole time I was eating. Hey Xiao, this is Jiang He, the guy who sent you 3 letters without getting any reply. I think you're absolutely stunning. And I really want to date you, like, seriously serious. Would you give me a chance to pursue you? He stammered through his words, scratched his head awkwardly, then shoved a 4th letter into my hands. Before I could even process what happened, he bolted like a shot. Xiao. As I unfolded the letter and turned around, Jichuan stood there with quiet loneliness. The weariness of travel showed on his face, leaving him looking somewhat haggard. Yet his well-tailored white shirt and dark dress pants remained immaculate, still every bit the refined heartthrob of No. 1 High. The formal attire and laptop in hand suggest they've just come from some official engagement. Even after putting it down, I couldn't shake off this dazed feeling. There's something I need to talk to you about. Could we find somewhere to sit down? Jichuan's question came tentatively, as if he feared I might refuse. We've got the class meeting tonight anyway. So let's talk here, I said calmly. Jichuan had chased me all this way, he wouldn't leave without saying his piece. But his first words caught me off guard. A guy who confesses after just a few days. Clearly not serious. Stay away from shallow men who only care about looks, I sneered in response. You came all this way just to say that. What's it to you? If I'm not making new friends, am I supposed to stay loyal to the old ones? Jichuan choked on his words, and when he spoke again, his tone had noticeably softened. Shi Yao, I don't know why you didn't change your college application with me. I owe you an apology. I was being overconfident. I thought you'd always follow me, no matter where I go. I cut him off. Stop right there. Don't impose your will on me or guilt trip me. I'm not the one who changed first, you did. But you always followed me to every school before. You even had my application system credentials. Why won't you change with me this time? Jichuan asked stubbornly, gripping my arm with rising agitation. Why couldn't you just tell me openly that you had somewhere else in mind? Did you really think I'd stop you? Was it necessary to test me like this? Do you get some sick thrill from toying with people's futures? I stared back at him and countered, no, that's not it. Maybe I was just too confident about us. Don't you remember? That time I kissed you, and you didn't push me away. I was planning to properly confess to you in college. We were even supposed to return to hooching together after graduation to get married. There was never anyone else. Suman was just someone I used later to get back at you. Jichuan's voice grew emotional as he spoke, the corners of his eyes turning slightly red. I shook off his hand. But you never once considered my feelings. That's when I realized you didn't understand me at all. You didn't know why I applied to this school. Maybe you thought I just followed your lead. It was never just about you. You should know, my father died during an aircraft experiment. I've asked you so many times what cosmic fascination could possibly be worth risking everything for. Back then, I really wanted to figure out the reason myself. The more I missed Dad, the more I needed answers. Did you really think I'd just abandon his dream for your sake? Jichuan froze. But, you never mentioned any of this. I just smiled. He probably never realized that my casual question, born from missing my father, had quietly planted the seed of continuing his legacy. So all that sweat and effort was never just for him alone. In the end, I said so much to him. It was my way of making peace with the youth we once shared. To this day, I'm still grateful. When my father passed, you stayed by my side through the darkest days. Even when my mother was overwhelmed with business, your parents gave me the same warmth as my own family. But Jichuan, the moment you unilaterally decided to break our promise, we were doomed to never work out. 16. After I left that day, the skies suddenly opened up in a downpour. My roommate came back and told me there's this really devoted guy standing downstairs in the pouring rain for ages. I didn't react much. Nor did I feel like talking him out of it anymore. Jichuan stood outside our dorm all night and only left at daybreak. But what surprised me was that instead of returning to Xiamen, he went straight back to his home in Huqing. A few days later, I received a call from his mother, Yao Yao. Could you please talk some sense into H1? He's been sick ever since returning from Harbin. He refused to see a doctor or take medicine even with a 39 degrees Celsius fever. Now that he's finally recovered, he won't go back to school. He says he wants to drop out and retake the exams to get into HIT just to be with you. I have a terrible headache. But without hesitation, I answered her firmly, it's impossible, Auntie. I won't wait for him. I've already planned out my college life and won't put it on hold to waste time. Please tell him to stop doing foolish things, or I'll think even less of him. Something fell to the ground on the other end of the phone. Eventually, I heard Jichuan went back to school like he was supposed to. His grandparents stepped in to talk some sense into him, though I heard his planning to take the grad school entrance exam in Harbin to be with me. Whenever there was a holiday, he'd fly all the way from Xiamen to Harbin just to see me. Even when I ignored him, he'd just watch from afar and send things he remembered I used to like. But by winter break, I was already seeing someone else. That dream I'd chased day and night, it was never just about him to begin with. Unmatched, he sent me 99 love letters. I simply couldn't say no anymore. Besides, his abs were admittedly impressive. Those confession letters kept sneaking in shirtless photos, tempting my roommates to egg me on about verifying their authenticity. After witnessing Jiang He holding me as we slid down the ice slide together, Jichuan vanished from my life completely. As time went on, I rarely heard any news about Jichuan anymore. Even our family home was moved away from its original place by Mom. Years later, I successfully entered the direct PhD program as I'd hoped, with Jiang He still by my side all along. Together we joined a top-tier aerospace research lab. Looking back on those youthful memories now, they're just trivial little things after all. The future holds endless starry skies waiting to be explored.